liberty and justice for all.
Start with the prayer. Precious Father, Lord, I just thank you for this day. I just thank you for the winter temperatures and the newness of life. Lord, I just thank you for the opportunity to come together tonight. Lord, I just thank you for wisdom. Give your sermon and direction as we work our days tonight.
Okay, first we are going to have our budget public hearing meeting. So we're calling that meeting open at 6:32. Yes. So and we had a budget workshop. We already went through this. The budget for Hillsdale Township for fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. It is revenues of $3,300. Same with expenditures at this point. For the fire department budget, it's $146,700 in revenues. And with about $3,300 of that millage going back to the fund balance, it's also balanced at $146,700 in expenditures. Any questions, public comments on the budgets at hand? Jack?
Okay, and I brought this up every year, but with the library having $750,000 in their account, I don't see why the township supports them. Now, I do know that if people get cards, I do know that the cards are $40 a piece. And right now, or a year or so ago, when they did their assessment of the cards, Hillsdale Township had 164 cards that were actually active at that time. That was in 22 and 23. So I would think if the township would take that money, when people want a card, they buy the card, they bring it back, get reimbursed, and use the rest of that money if you want to for recreation. So, I mean, that's just, I don't see where the library needs our money. I really don't. I mean, $8,000 is a lot of money to donate to the library.
And that can be readdressed. I mean, it's been standing at that amount since I've been on the board in 2000. But I will say I got a text, and we weren't able to meet with someone from the library board that wanted to talk that over, and we just have not had the opportunity to do that. So someone from there did reach out to me. So food for thought moving forward. Have to stay the same.
The other thing I would like to talk about is, and I didn't see it in this budget, and I brought that up too, is I would like to see some money put towards having these meetings online, all the township meetings online. It's not that big of a deal, it's not that big of an expense. It would benefit everyone in the township. Anyone that has internet could actually view them and see what actually goes on, and know what's going to go on. I just think that would be a good budget item also.
You got $2,000 for miscellaneous. I know it would be a little bit more than that, but that's something we as a board can talk over. You know, get some quotes on that and see if that is the thing we want to pursue with that.
Is this an independent recording outside of the board?
It's not a board.
Okay. I echo what he's suggesting over here in terms of transparency, and some of us have small families. It's difficult to get here at 6:30, so recording would be helpful. We previously asked for an audit every year. That was chosen not to happen. So I think some things like an annual audit or a report are helpful, given the small amounts compared to assessment or salaries that are built into the budget.
I also agree that this needs to be recorded. That way, in the future, things cannot be, I bring it up to Joe, and you can actually see how he acts without sitting there saying, nope, it's not 2 minutes, so that didn't happen. It does not cost $4,000 to put it out there. And I'm sure the person that is recording tonight can actually answer the questions about how much it is. In regards to trying to save $4,000, when it's a county, the county, I don't know, tech guy that you went and talked to, that was for the courthouse. Yes, they invested a lot of money in it, but it doesn't cost $4,000 for an independent person fee.
Yes.
It costs next to nothing for you guys to do it yourself. The courthouse, I think, is way overspent. They got a nice system, but you can spend next to nothing and get recordings out there. If nothing else, do an audio recording on your phone and upload it, then you got it. You don't have to spend much of any money to get a recording.
Points well taken. Any other budget related questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the general fund budget for fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2025?
So moved.
Any discussion on the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion has passed. Is there a motion to approve the fire department budget beginning April 1st, 2025? The budget is at $146,700.
I'll support.
Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Fire department budget has passed. So we are closing the public hearing, the budget public hearing now at 6:38. And now we are on to approving the regular meeting agenda.
I do, before we approve that, I would like to add a land division, and that will be the first line of business in a new business.
Thank you, Janelle. Okay, is there a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, agenda has been approved. Public comments, first we're going to start comments from scheduled guests, and then anybody can comment for 3 minutes on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, 3 minutes on non-agenda items at the end of the meeting. So, Hillsdale County Road Commission, Mark Klein.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. The good news is the weather's changed and the road crews are out. They're starting scraping roads, the ones that they can, that are not wet enough that they can't get down. They've also started doing some more pothole patching and it's the business. And I've got an item here. I attended a legislative seminar and Representative Brian Lee Linting, Republican, has introduced a bill that would provide $3.145 billion additional dollars to local road commissions. And this money would go to local roads, not state roads. And I'm asking that, I'm not really prepared yet, but I'm asking for support on this. And if possible, people to send emails to other representatives. I met with our two representatives, Representative Wirtz and Senator Galino, and they're both on board. They both understand what this bill could do for local roads. And so it's other senators and legislators that we need to put the pressure on or try and convince to support this. Now, the governor has introduced her own proposal, and it's in the neighborhood of $3 billion, but she's only proposing $1.8 billion for local roads, the rest will go for state roads. And so this would do much for our county by giving us money to work on the primary roads, plus more money to cost share with township townships, improve the secondary roads. So I'm making a pitch for that, and what I can do is, I'll take the time and find legislators that we need to send, in rural areas, that we need to send an email to, asking them to help support this bill.
And where are they getting this?
This is money that is already in the state budget. The gas tax, only about a half of it and all of it used to go for the roads. And then several years ago, they changed it, and they took half of it and gave it to the schools. So now they're gonna give us back the half that we originally had and fund the schools out of the general fund, which is how it always used to be anyways. And let's see, also it says, let's see here. Anyways, the bill itself is House Bill 4180-87. So if you would like to look it up, I didn't print off enough for everybody. Sorry about that.
Could you repeat that again, one more time?
4180-87 is the House bill. And it has to go through the House first before it goes to the Senate and eventually to the governor. Now, the governor in her State of the Union, or State of the State speech said that she was all for getting additional funding, and she campaigned, remember, on fixing the damn roads, so hopefully we can hold her accountable to this. And anyway, this is a start. Don't get the idea that because there's $3.145 billion additional dollars, is all of a sudden all the roads are going to be fixed. No, this is just a start. Because when Eric Lloydheiser was representative, I had an idea what it would cost to fix all the roads. He had $6 billion, and that was 8 years ago. So you can imagine that price has increased since then. But this would be a great help to get us started. Because the lady back here asked me if we had any idea, the conditions of the roads and that. We do have the Pacer ratings that we do every year now. And we're not gonna be able to fix all of them at once, but we can get started on, and over time, eventually, because the roads are deteriorating fast. And it's just a matter of the fact. They're going to hell in a handbasket hurry. That's basically all I've got to pitch today, so. But I will send you an email with a list, and you can share it with your trustees or anybody else that you think of, and try to get some support behind this bill to get us some additional funding, because, well, as Gary Langer was at the same meeting that I was at, and we said with Senator Bellino, we haven't received any, every year we apply for up to 4 bridges. And if you're lucky, you get 1. We haven't gotten any for 2 years. No additional. The last money we got was for the territorial road bridge. We've got a lot of bridges and culverts in this county that are getting bad too, and they take up a lot of money. So I would appreciate any help that this board could offer.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Two questions.
Okay.
We gave you some changes on our roads that we were gonna have done. Did they get back to you on?
They were supposed to send you back, Heather Boyd worked on those, and she was supposed to send them back the other evening.
I'm not receiving.
I will contact Heather on Thursday and make sure you get that back, because she did rebid those, for what you asked for.
Second question, I heard on the radio where next year you guys are planning on redoing Spring Street? Is that, have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard.
No, okay, there's nothing wrong with Spring Street.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about
That
that.
a city project, perhaps?
Not
Could that be
No,
the
that's
portion of
county.
spring
No, it's
screening?
from
Okay,
county-
okay,
County to Bacon, so,
okay.
on the radio.
I think they are doing mechanic. I think it's mechanic next Spring Street.
Yes, I think you're right. But I will check into that. Because off the top of my head, and my head's pretty full because I had board review today, so. But I will check into that.
Spring Street was discussed briefly, as coordination as was done before with the city of Hillsdale, and city of Hillsdale's old mechanic was the street that.
You're correct, that was, I can't think of well,
the urban.
yes, there you go, the urban
Yes.
thing, or the
Okay.
meaning of the head.
Well, Mark, if you can just get those revised quotes to us from the
Yes.
ride around that,
Yes.
that Rick did, that would be great.
I will make sure that you are emailed those
Okay.
quotes. So
Thank
you
you.
have them for yours, or for your next one.
Okay, thanks so
Okay,
much.
thank you very
I'd like to go first, Commissioner Benson or Nicholas?
Thank you. We had quite an active Board of Commissioners meeting this morning. The presentation was terrific from the Spark kids, the adult kids that Tammy Ryan has, and they have been taking pictures of the courthouse. And we had about 20 or 30-minute presentation of all the photos, and it's from beginning to end. It was fantastic, the photos that they brought. They had 5 of the adults speak about different portions of the project and their interests as they go through Spark, some of the other activities that they guys talked about the history of the courthouse. And he brought out facts that, from the 1800s and ongoing. So the program and the presentation that Spark had today was terrific, and it was a very valuable asset to the community, that they were appreciative of the fact that we did the project so they could enhance their program. It was really just terrific. And they did speak about some of the other locations. This was the photography group that came today, and they talked about how they enjoy going to Yosemite Park, and they take pictures. And the one girl had a camera that she just got for Christmas. She does underwater pictures, and so she's having a great time. And so that is what we had today from Spark. Very valuable, and the level of appreciation they had for what the commissioners had provided for the project at the courthouse was very, it was overwhelming seeing how they were, it was very positive. In addition, today we did have an extended discussion on the park funding with the decision of having a joint meeting scheduled for April 15th. And in that meeting, we'll discuss and make decisions regarding budget and park funding. So we'll see how that meeting goes. We will have a joint meeting with 5 commissioners and 5 parks trustees. The park director will be there, I'm sure. And so we'll have very productive time in conversation, figuring out and learning the challenges from both sides and how to move forward in a great way. And one of the discussions that I'm sure will be had is what to do with the roads in Yosemite Park. So I know that was asked at one of our recent meetings. We'll see where that goes. I don't know. And then the other item that I wanted to mention is that we have the Board of Commissioners have created a new position called Senior Finance Manager. The current Finance Manager, Derek Ringman, will move to that position, including his added roles with accounts payable, with payroll, with workers' comp. The position has evolved so that, in fact, it's a new position. So the Senior Finance Manager is one thing that you'll hear about, and we did do that. The Finance Manager is a grade 13. The Senior Finance Manager is a grade 14, so he will receive a boost in pay. Well deserved. So, have to answer any questions. And I'll hand it off to Commissioner Benson.
All right, so I have handouts, and despite as much as you hold them up, they do not smell like duplicator food. If you take one of those, pass that along, and then I have a different one there. So Commissioner Ingalls stole most of my report, so I'm going to go first, so that I can edit from there. At our last meeting, not the one today, we received our annual drain report from the Drain Commissioner's office, and that also includes the lake level assessment report. That's always interesting to see all the different drains we have throughout the county, and that is now available on the county website, so anyone can public, of course, within Hillsdale Township, or at least on the edge of it, because the borders get kind of weird out here at Bobby's Lake. We have the headwaters of the St. Joe River, and Bobby's Lake is one of those controlled structures, so it is interesting to see how they pay for those things. We did have storms, our first storm or weather warning of the year. That was kind of a baptism by fire for new emergency management director Jason Lauderville. That test went off very successfully, and I have included a letter, press release from his office in regards to the schedule for the year. We do 2 of those tests during the day at 10 a.m. And the reason why we do that during the day is because the school kids are in session in March, and then we do another one in September. And so those are usually on the first Monday of the month. However, because it's Labor Day, they will actually set that back a week in the month of September. But those are done during the day. The rest of those are done in the evening at 6 p.m. And contact information is on there, both email and phone number for the office out there. If you do have questions for emergency management, please direct them to that office. Jason will also be out in the community. He is just starting now to get out and talk to all the townships and other units of government. So I expect to see him sometime, probably, I would say, in the next 4 or 5 months. So there's a lot of places to be. Commissioner Gould and I can both tell you that the first 2 weeks of the month are when most of those meetings are. But he will be getting out and introducing himself, give you some contact information, and make you aware of some of the things that they are doing. So the other item I have for you is a log packet that was also sent out to all the clerks today by email from Clerk Gain. That is in regard to the next round of high-speed internet grants, federal dollars put out to the state, and then there will be bids for those. It shows the areas, and you will note that Hillsdale Township is on that. The county was asked if we would sign a letter of support, and we have basically done that to anyone who has come and asked for that, because the idea is to get high-speed internet to every address in the county. We actually, at our house, late fall, we were able to get fiber to our house. I'm 10 miles south of Hillsdale, just north of Frontier, on Steenberg Road, and I now have fiber internet. If I want, I can get a right connection. I don't have that much capacity, but I pretty much don't need it. But we have real, true high-speed internet in the suburbs of Frontier now, and the idea is to get it to every address, both business and residents within the county. Interesting thing about those taxi dots there on the map, if a provider provides to one address within that, they have to provide to all of them. Previously, an area was considered within 1 square mile. There was one house or one business that had high-speed internet. That square mile was considered to having high-speed internet. And the current program, the way that it is set up, if they meet one address, they have to get everybody that is doing with that hexagonal shape. So if your township would be interested in adding a letter of support, this again is from Comcast. DMCI is asking for similar letters, and we so far we have given letters of support to both DMCI and Comcast, and we've got a couple other requests at this point. We're hoping to meet with them, but I would encourage this body to take a look at that, and if you feel that it would be of importance to your residents within your township, to authorize your supervisor to sign that letter on behalf of your board for support for them to be successful in their grant program. And that concludes my report. Your question.
Right, is that, buried or is it aerial?
Well, they want to be underground as much as possible. I mean, some of it where they have existing access, like Comcast already has, cones basically on poles, and so where they have those access, but most of it is going to be buried. You know, and number one, we're finding the utilities is much more robust. They don't have to get a right of way from another utility that pulls their view and they don't have one existing. So it just works out better if we go the road right away and they put it underground.
Don't you guys have high-speed internet out there, fire department? Now all them cables are buried that we.
What we've got is Comcast.
Huh?
All we have is Comcast.
So you have a cable internet now, so.
I thought underground was a bunch of,
There's a bunch of fiber optics of
Yeah.
something out there.
oh, okay.
I don't know what all's out there.
There's a lot of fiber in there.
Don't know that.
Any other questions?
Question,
Yeah.
can I,
Thank you very much.
how does the funding model work for this proposal for the internet?
Okay, so basically they're grants from the state office of high-speed internet. So the providers, they make a proposal, all right, to build out, and it can be, usually they want to be linear, so they're gonna stick to roads. So they make a proposal to what's called the Michigan Office of High-Speed Internet, I believe. And so they make a proposal to that, they review those then, and so it's a competitive bidding process.
Does the township pay something through taxes? Does the user pay something?
Zero.
Does the user pay
We're all
something?
paying for it because it's federal dollars, okay? I mean, there is no such thing as a free lunch. So, but these dollars, it's like many other federal programs, the dollars are gonna go someplace. And so, you know, obviously, there's no match required. So the idea is they are getting a portion of their infrastructure costs, and then over time, with customers, they'll recover the portion that they paid. So it won't be enough to pay 100%. They're gonna have to have skin in the game. So I know Dave Cleveland, I've heard his presentation at a number of townships, and he's invested already in the last round several $1 million of his company's money in addition to the grant funding they've got, and this would be similar to that.
So it's federal money and then it's the company's money is what you're
Right,
saying?
yes, yep.
And not the township nor the user?
Exactly. So the user ultimately will be paying, because they'll be paying in fees, so.
Paying in fees through like a monthly service?
Right. So I mean, again, there is no such thing, so you would be a subscriber to it. Just.
Right, well, we currently
Right.
have T-Mobile, right? So
Right,
There's other
right, yeah.
other companies who do it too.
Yeah.
So
So.
do you have
so-
any idea what that cost would be or anything?
I have no idea what theirs would be. I can tell you what mine costs at my house. So I have a 100 megabyte connection, and that costs me about $80 a month. So, and it's actually a little bit less than my business pays, because I have Comcast and I have a 100 meg
And then a
connection.
user, a resident would be able to choose to participate in the public program or private business?
Well, you're not choosing public, I mean, if they run the stuff, it's gonna be provided through that. You can choose another provider, like if you have T-Mobile right now, so you could choose that in deference, or you can choose any
And
provider.
I think we're good. You can contact Commissioner Benzing after the meeting if you have additional questions.
All right, just
Thank
a couple
you.
questions, thank you.
Moving on to, any other questions from the board? Okay, moving on to fire board members, please.
First thing is, did you guys decide on was it $20 then for Des to do the building? Or
That's
the,
what we pay, the
is that,
$20 an hour.
okay, and they had a fire hose,
We had several fire hoses.
several,
Yeah.
what happened?
Just,
You got damaged?
we had fire hoses in several different falls that got damaged.
Okay.
I was offered a special price on brand new fire hose, so I ordered it. And I don't know if it come to $894. I didn't know if you wanted to turn it into the insurance or we just absorb it. Because I don't even know what our deductible is.
Yeah, I'm gonna be meeting with our property and casualty, representative. It's probably under what our deductible is, I would think,
Well, and that's kind of what I thought. It was something we had to have, so.
but we will check on that. Sure.
That's it. That's all I
That's
had.
Okay, thank you. Any public comments on the agenda items?
I guess I'll go first. I have a question in regards to, not a question, but my comment. your meeting February 11th. It states that Sullivan and Stewart to draft some recommendations to the PC, which is the planning commission, on changes to the board, or that board, would like to see before further consideration. I think that should have been available for the public, so that way we know exactly what you're addressing, that you would like to see addressed to the public, to the PC commission. The other thing that I'd like to know, like to make a comment on, is in regards to the PC, the planning commission, and Joe making statements to the collegian. He makes it sound like we're gonna have a deputy enforcement officer, which that is not true. He also makes a statement that, some residents of Hillsdale Township, which cover areas surrounded by the city limits, have been accumulating broken down vehicles in their yards and using things like, and this is my problem, boats, boxcars, semi-truck trailers as storage units. Now, how can a boat be used as a storage unit? He also made, through here, he goes and he says a bunch of other things in regards to it. He makes a statement about 30 days to get the issue resolved. I don't think the first thing is 30 days, I think it's 14. I could be wrong. And again, I guess I have a real big problem with him making a statement in regards to the zoning officer with the law enforcement. Yes, he's going to be training as a deputy. Now, I've already had one person come up to me about he has the right to come on my property, and I said, no, he does not. He has no right to come. He has the right to come to my door and knock on my door. He has no right to go to my backyard. And they said, under a deputy, them being a deputy, he can, and that's what they were told. And I said, you're told wrong.
Well, I think, first of all, when somebody gets called by a newspaper or a radio station and such, sometimes there's not a lot of prep work or preparation before that, and sometimes things are said that might be unclear. Our zoning officer was not a member of law enforcement when he was hired.
Correct.
Since then, he has been hired by the Branch County Sheriff's Department. So, I mean, he's not a law official for us. That is another job that he has. So
So do you plan on hiring as a deputy? You know, law enforcement to, along with his zoning?
No,
Okay.
he's hired as our zoning enforcement
Only.
officer. As a very, very part-time position. And in the interim, after a few months, I think he's got a wife and a few kids, and he was able to get a full-time job there. So he's still our zoning enforcement officer. But that's a separate job than what he does here. So there's probably some confusion there.
It's not even in Hillsdale County.
It's not even in Hillsdale County,
No.
it's in Branch County.
And he is still.
And I know he's still in school, because I've been following along to see if he's been sworn in yet, and he has not.
Okay. Any other public comments? Yes, Jack?
I've asked about this again too. If there could be a packet done like the city does, because you're talking about things here like, the zoning officer's report, different, meeting minutes. We have no idea what you're even talking about. You guys read all that stuff in correspondence, or you look at what you got, but the general public can't see any of that, or hear any of it either. If it was in the packet, then we could read that.
So that would be a Janelle question. I was clerk for many years before supervisor, and she already has an awful lot on her plate. So I guess, is that something that can be done? We'll have to reevaluate your salary.
Well, it can be done. One of my concerns with it is, like, our minutes are on the website, so that's available.
Zoning was not.
The zoning report is not online.
It hasn't been on since January, or it hasn't even been on January. When I went looking today, I didn't see it.
You're talking about the zoning report.
The planning commission report. I did not.
Oh, the planning commission
Yeah.
minutes. Okay, I can look for that, but, most of the time they're, and But my concern is, I don't wanna make 10 copies of this whole packet and then throw the majority of them away.
Mike,
That's my
Could you
concern.
upload it? Could you upload it?
that's what my suggestion is,
Why don't
do
you
like
do
the
it
city
online
does.
and they can
It's
do it
linked
themselves?
into the website.
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is click on it and you can read it. Look at the Hillsdale City, look at one of their packets
Yes,
for a
you
council
showed that to
meeting,
me.
and that's how they're tied
And
in.
I will have to say, I mean,
But
we,
then we're gonna run into, I mean, I got the zoning report at 5 o'clock tonight. So I don't have all of that, and it's the
That's fine.
same thing with the agenda, you want the agenda online, so I put that on, you know, maybe a couple weeks before the meeting, but then it's changing, and then for me to have to change it online and then upload it online,
At least put
that
in
is
what
a
you,
lot of extra
at least
steps
put in what you
for me
have.
to put that on. So, like these packets, you know, some of this information I don't have until
I don't,
the
I guess,
afternoon before the meeting.
if the city can do it, why can't the township do it?
the city are full-time employees of the city as well. We are all very, very
I
part-time.
understand that.
We all have other jobs.
I just,
So,
And
and
so
she's
I,
already, I mean, with everything, even since I've been clerk, that the clerk has to do, you do a great job at that. You know, I think if there's some way we can make it easier for you, if we could, you know, use Susan as a deputy, but I get what you're saying, a lot of that information comes last minute. But if we could make an effort, you know, to upload the minutes, the agenda when you have them, or have her do it,
Are you talking about this?
yeah.
my other question is, did you guys finally get sworn in?
Yes. We're all sworn in, we sent the information to our attorney, and we are all good.
Okay, so how about business that you did when you wasn't sworn in? Is that
She
all?
said we should
according-
not be concerned about that because we would have never vacated our office. So she said we had one person sworn in who swore the rest of us in, and she has more information on that if you'd like to contact her.
I'm not understanding what you're saying, I guess.
We all run unopposed,
Okay,
and the way she's told me is that we could all be sworn in by our deputy clerk, and that we would then be valid as of that point, and we shouldn't be concerned because we contacted our attorney, and they could make a case that we never vacated the office because we all ran unopposed and we all had the same positions last year.
okay, I just wondered, so. When was that, when was you sworn in then?
I'm sorry,
When was you sworn in?
we were all done individually when we could have it done.
When was it? What was the date? That's what I'm asking.
well, each date's gonna be different. So, I mean, I
But it's
have,
been within the last month.
yes,
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, any other comments, public comments on agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Janelle?
okay. So for correspondence, I have, resignation.
Okay. We have a letter with Kevin Shannon is resigning his seat on the planning commission, effective immediately. He's been on over 30 years. Doesn't feel like he was contributing like he should, even though we think he was. And he thinks we need some younger blood in there to take over. So he is resigning, so if anybody has an interest or knows of somebody who might be interested in the planning commission, there is an opening there. We also, are these all from James Thomas? So we also have a, Township President James Thomas, who, we were getting lots and lots and lots of texts from personally, so we just told him that he needed to send it by email. So these are just kind of, thoughts from him. He talks a little bit about the vehicle ordinance. Couple different ideas there. Farm equipment should be exempt. personal items of his. Talks about the Collegian article, he asked the same thing about the certified law enforcement officer. So we explained that. Something here on the planning commission, he agrees that it's older people on the planning commission, they would like to see some younger blood. We have, every time we have an opening, we ask at the meeting, we put it in our newsletter. The newsletter goes out to every single taxpayer in the township. We just did it with Board of Review. We had 2 people. One owned property in the township, but was not an elector of the township, so she was not eligible. So we had one other person. So we would be happy to entertain younger people. He's talking about Camp Hope. That is him saying that he checks his email 4 times a year. Not elected. So he said he lives on Bar Street and there is a transient problem from Camp Hope that he thinks is starting, even though that's city property, he feels like he's affected by that, so there's information on that. He thinks the clerk and ordinance officer might have to go to be full-time. He would like our meetings broadcast. Deer carcasses, pick them up. Going to be pre-ranging our fowl. So just a lot of things here. So we will take these into consideration as we are looking at our vehicle ordinance, some of the ideas there, some of the other ideas were brought up at this meeting as well. So this was all from James Thomas.
And then we have this court order from Judge Stuyvesant concerning the property at Baker's Road.
Want me to read it? This is a court order for a township resident, Mr. Frisch. 3540 Bankers Road. Court being otherwise fully advised, it is hereby ordered that the defendant shall vacate the subject property no later than March 6th. If the defendant fails to vacate the property by that date, plaintiff may request a writ of eviction. So that's from Judge Stuyvesant. Do we have any update on?
So Wayne stopped by there yesterday, and the old camper trailer has been removed, but the newer one, the second one that was moved in, is still there. But he wasn't able to talk to me, just to know if they're living there.
Okay, I'll follow up with him on that then. Any other correspondence?
Judge Stuyvesant also said, after this
Oh,
date
that's right,
six,
you were at the,
she said, then the township can do whatever they want. Well, that's kind of different, I don't know what she meant. So Carly interpreted that, you know.
in terms of the property for cleanup or?
Yeah, what she meant, I mean, take his property, or, I don't know, very vague, so.
Well, it really depends. I mean, okay.
Well, you can do whatever you want, that's kind of.
Well, so, okay, I will follow up with our enforcement officer. Any other correspondence? Okay. Consent agenda, bills and financial transactions.
Okay, so for the general fund, we have $13,190.84.
And that's a quarterly, right? So all the quarterly charges are in there as well, or no?
The federal,
Yeah,
EFTPS, that's a monthly.
monthly.
We pay that monthly. And then for the fire, we have $16,366.66, and this was fire paid for.
And it looks like, just a quick question here for the fire guys. Mystic Tint and Accessories, wrap new tanker. How is that process coming along?
It's there being finished up now.
Okay.
Had a very difficult time even trying to find somebody that would give us a quote. We waited for over 2 months from Lemke's Auto Body and still haven't got it.
For painting it?
Yes. And nobody else has facilities big enough to put it in and paint it. Well, I found out he does wraps and he had done Quincy's fire truck, and I looked at that, he did a wonderful job. And the price is cheaper than paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
How long is that expected to last?
I haven't actually heard of it.
Do they? Okay. I don't know.
I mean, when they do give you timelines, it's vehicles that's out on the roads all the time. This is kept inside except for when we use it, so. We're open the last year.
And then Janelle, a quick question. It says it's a small amount, but e-cards.
The Cullen Community College, is that?
Yeah, do you mind to explain that, the e-cards that we pay a lot of community college for? What is
That was
that?
actually cheaper for you than it has been in the past. That was CPR training for the firefighters.
Ah,
Because we have certified instructors on our department, the township didn't have to pay for the class itself. The cards that the individuals get come from the college, and that was why that training was there.
thank you.
I did receive an email from someone, and it says e-cards attached. But did you receive those, or have you guys already received?
They were
those
supposed to be
cards?
sent to the individuals. Because when the class was taken, all the individuals' emails were included on that. That's where they were supposed to be sent. I don't know why.
Okay, I'll maybe open it and just kind of see what's in there.
Yes.
And maybe
Yes, please do.
if you hear that they didn't receive them,
Okay.
let me know.
Okay, minutes from the last board meeting, planning commission and fire board minutes. If the board can just review those, see if there are any additions or corrections. Any additions or corrections? Okay, and then on to the treasurer's report, Kelly.
Yes. Okay, in total, all our funds is $815,703.05. The fire department, $60,861.72, and I gave them the report in support for that. And then our general fund is $754,841.33. I settled with the county tomorrow, so looking forward to that. So, I don't have an actual collection percentage, but it's well over 90%, so we're doing really well, so. And then the only other thing, I'm gonna ask them tomorrow, ask Stephanie how we get that money back for the cleanup, because that was included in the tax bill that was paid. So that's on my list of questions for tomorrow, to get that money. That's paid back to us to get reimbursement for that. So, and that's okay.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Old business don't have anything on here. Janelle, I wanted to ask you if you were able to go to that conference, the employment
I did.
conference?
The,
Is that on here at all?
it is not, okay. Yeah, last Tuesday, I went up to Lansing to the nature legislatures and that kind of thing. They went over, the lame duck session, they went over some of the legislature that is being proposed. One of the main reasons I went was to get information about the sick days, the earned sick time that has now gone into effect. So essentially what I walked away with was, elected officials, which I feel, is us, that we do our elected duties, but we don't hold regular office hours and do much beyond that. So, because of that, it does not apply to elected officials or appointed ones. So the ZBA, Board of Review, Planning Commission, it does not apply to those employees. It would apply to Wayne and his position, and then firefighters. So I have to just come up with a spreadsheet, keep track of it, and then I've gotta make sure that the proper postings are.
So the firefighters, even if they're like on call?
Right, I have no idea how, like, we've been, it's not like they have a set, they have to be there for this to this, but, yeah. So it's basically going to be just keeping track of hours that they have earned, but it's 1 hour for every 30 that was worked. And it can be reset at the end of the year, so it doesn't have to accrue year after year. But even, I guess if they have some accrued and then they wanna ask to use one, then we would just pay them for an hour when they weren't there.
Right,
I'm not
because they
sure
only
how
get
that's
paid
all
if they're
gonna work.
working
Yeah,
Correct.
on a run.
but that is something additional that I have.
They're paid per call.
It's for a call.
It doesn't matter if that call is 5 minutes or,
And I don't think they're gonna like say, I'm taking this call off.
No.
Then we have to pay them.
That is something too we need to be thinking about, because we have to make sure that they are being paid minimum wage. And so if you were paying them $25 a run, and minimum wage now is, what, 11 something, I believe. So if they're there more than 2 hours, then that $25.
There's salary.
we have that set up with the township and everything, that $25 covers the first 5 hours. In trade, they get the accidental death and disbursement insurance. So you have to add the cost of that on top of what they're making if you're gonna go that way.
They're actually salaried employees.
And they, I believe that would be considered salary.
well, this example came up at the seminar with the volunteer firefighters, and this is what we were told.
Where I probably need to change with your approval is when I do the payroll, that has always been anything over 5 hours was paid $10 an hour. Now that we may have to bring in new stuff.
Because minimum wage is higher than that.
Yes, and I can do that whatever I'm instructed to do.
Or maybe, is it 25? Do they get the first?
Well, they get $25,
$25 for the first 5 hours.
and then if it's an officer run, it's $30. So
Very
it's-
rarely do we have a call that goes that long.
So we probably, like, if that's the case, and I think we need to verify that, we would probably say $25 for the first 2 hours, and anything over that, if we have to, would be paid at minimum wage, whatever.
Correct. That, just let me know and I can change the payroll sheet for that.
Okay.
So, this is not, I know we've been dealing with this at the bank. So our HR director, senior management, it's just been like, every week it's been something different. So it's not just full-time. It's not. Okay.
I know
Your shop.
seasonal kids,
Student.
Oh,
Right, you've got that issue there.
It's for all employees now. And then, like I said, if, you know, we as elected officials, if I have maybe regular office hours and I was in there and then I start taking tax payments because you're not in there, I'm like doing things outside of my required duties as clerk, then I would have to keep track of. I would have to do that,
Garbage cards done.
so the way I look at it is, you know, we don't have regular hours. You know, each position pretty much does their own, and so it doesn't apply to us.
Well, couldn't the firefighters be put because they don't have regular hours?
It still would apply to you. Okay, so one example that they gave was if you have an employee, like, doesn't have set hours, but if they say, I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock, then you as an employer expects them there at 5, and if they don't show up, you know, there might be repercussions because of that.
And see, they don't tell us when they're gonna be there because we don't know when the alarm's gonna go.
I think it's going to evolve, you know, so I think we can do the best we can
So
right
right
now and
now-
wait until the
I wish-
practical measures kick in. you know.
I wished I had a crystal ball, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have a call here, be here.
In the interim, I'm going to have a spreadsheet, and I will do my best to try to keep track and
Okay.
see how it goes.
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. What we added was a land division, the top land division. We're gonna look at this a little differently tonight. This is heavy board of review week all across the county. So our assessor was not able to look at it. Our zoning enforcement officer did. It looks pretty clean, clear cut. So I think if the board so chooses that it would be approved, it would be contingent on our assessor looking at it tomorrow when he will be here for board of review, because there is some urgency. I think there might be a closing later in the week, so we're trying to do what we can to take a look at this tonight. So, this is for 1569 Hudson Road, David and Jill Kafka Trust. Dave is here if you have any questions. It looks like there's one new parcel created. The intended use is ag recreational. Do you want to explain, Dave, just so?
Yeah, we had 32 acres roughly with our property, which is for sale. The acreage and the price of the house made for a pretty big number. So to make it easier for us to move the house, and the neighbor wanted the land, so we've reached an agreement with our neighbor to the south, who's in Cambria Township. We're on the line, but he owns 77 acres on the southwest part of my property that would be joined with this. And his daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren live in roughly 5 acres on the southeast side of my house. So that will also be kind of in the same family. And we have
How many
reached
acres are being split off?
26.2 roughly,
And how many are staying with the house?
about 4.
Okay.
When we actually had it surveyed, it ended up being a little less acreage than we thought we had. We never had it surveyed when we bought it. So,
And it's fine with 4 acres being in the house, I never know where. Okay.
He's zoned rural residential.
And that's 2.5? 2.5, yeah, okay. And is the acreage you're splitting off, it's a buildable parcel?
yes, it's all wooded, but it would be buildable if he were so inclined.
There's access to it?
He's getting 100 feet south of my house, between my house and his daughter's house, but there's a ravine there, so to access from 99, he would have to build a little bridge. But he's also getting an easement across the north edge of Alan Dimmer's home property, which will provide him, that's a 66-foot easement, so it would be county road available that would access the property from the northeast side.
So my question is, if he doesn't have that easement yet,
He won't until we close. Yeah, he'll get it when he buys it.
would this have to,
Because you currently have that easement
That's correct.
with it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
This is the, survey report that was done in 1999, and this shows the easement.
so they would have access to that parcel?
Right,
even
yeah,
without-
I'm conveying my easement with that property. And then additionally, he would have access from the southwest across his property or from the southeast across his daughter's property.
Okay, is there,
Isn't Chris Beardwoman live next to you?
Chris is, yeah, on one of the little islands.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, that's his
Yeah,
house.
Chris has 1.1 or something like that acres. Yep.
does somebody want to make a motion on this contingent on our assessor's final?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Any discussion for this? We kind of had the discussion already, I think. Okay, and the motion, can you state the motion, Tim?
Give approval for the split, on contingent of the assessor's approval.
And we will know that tomorrow, Dave.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Okay, contingently approved.
Thank you.
And we're gonna be here for board review tomorrow from 9 to 3.
My favorite thing.
So if you need to pick up a final copy, I'll be
I actually will do that. I'll try and make it closer to the 3 side and
okay.
let him catch his breath, because I'm sure this is a fun age.
Yeah, we actually, the board of review went very well on, today's today, Tuesday? On Monday, we had 6 people. And we'll be here from 9 to 3 tomorrow. The board of review no longer has to do the veteran exemption, so that's kind of changed in terms of their duties. So a lot of people we had seen in the past were just coming in for their veteran exemptions. So, we did not have that at all.
I would make, excuse me, just a quick comment if I may,
Yeah.
about Mr. Rourke. He was really terrific with me through the process, very cooperative. We waited on surveyors, and we thought we had it, and then we didn't have it, and so we did a lot of tap dancing in the process of getting the application to him, and he did a really nice job of sticking with me on that. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Dave.
it, so.
Appreciate that.
We'll make sure we pass that along to
Beg your pardon?
them. We'll make sure we'll pass that along.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on new business, lawn mowing bid.
All right, you have a copy of that in your packet as well. It is from, TKC, which is who we've used now for, I believe, 3 seasons. And, so the amounts there, these, I believe, are the same rates as they were last year. And
It's a month, are they expecting a check? Or is it still going to be a monthly bill? Or are they expecting to be paid in full?
oh no, it's monthly,
Okay.
yeah. He sends me an invoice each month.
Okay.
And so it would be this amount, and then it's split up, I don't know, if it's 6 or 7 months.
So, you wanna read those? or you want-
Sure, so, Hillsdale Township 2025 mowing season, for King Lake Cemetery, it would be $3,550 for the year.
And that typically starts in April and goes through October?
So I think that's 7 months, I counted that up yesterday. And then the township building, so that's the property here, is $1,500 for the year. And then Sand Lake Valley Cemetery is $3,950. I did look up, so last year we paid him $9,760 for the year, which is a little bit more than that. But if we do, if we have him do roundup around here.
He says that this includes a spring cleanup and leaf cleaning as well.
Which typically in the past we've had to pay extra for that.
Right. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed for the TKC lawn mowing. Bob Billman still does the snow?
Yes,
Okay.
and he's one of the best done now.
Yeah.
We're all the best at doing that.
Correct.
We might be done.
Okay, domestic harmony contract.
That's not in your packet.
Okay, this is a contractual agreement with Domestic Harmony. We typically annually have a contract, pay them $250. The way this is, it's a contract for services to be provided under this contract. Any number of eligible residents in Hillsdale Township are transportation from a safe place to shelter, safe emergency shelter, 24-hour crisis hotline, crisis intervention and support counseling, coordination of support services, included assistance in finding permanent housing and in obtaining financial assistance, and legal advocacy, referral, and information. To purchase said services, the township agrees to pay Domestic Harmony the sum of $250 for the 2025 fiscal year, which begins on April 1st and ends on March 31st.
And we've been paying them $250. Do you want to stay at that amount, or?
That is what they requested in the letter.
Well, we're asking at the same amount or more if you are able.
Gotcha.
So I'm just opening that up as a
Yeah, I can
discussion.
see that.
We were budgeted for the $250.
Yeah. So if it would have come a little earlier, you know. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. There's a contractual agreement, Domestic Harmony for $250. Spring cleanup. So every year, oops. Oh, I just went that way. Where you- Okay, spring cleanup. We try to do this every year. It's the first Saturday in May. Does that work for the firefighters? Because we usually have it out at the fire department. I already got it approved with Republic. They have it available.
Last year the day it rained, last year.
That was 2 years ago.
It rained so hard.
That should be fine.
So the date on that is, you have it pulled up, May 3rd. And the what we used last year worked. I think we had 4, or did we have 3 and then the,
No, I think there was 4. There were
4.
And
But
then
you doing the metal drive again as well?
Yes.
So the postcards can be the same that we mail to everybody saying the same thing?
Yeah, but they should have 25 on the year.
Thanks for that little piece of info. So we will get those out as soon as possible. I think what we added last year was 1 visit or 1 truckload, 1 time. I think can't keep
Per
coming
card,
back.
per card, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So May 3rd is the date for that. If you can get your guys on board, who should be the contact for that? Last year it was,
Jack's nice.
no, it was actually, why can't I think?
Is it Ryan Medical?
It was,
Well, Jack was the one who went down and met him to set.
well, Jeff always liked to be called and they would never call him, and, for some reason, it was the contact,
I thought it was Katie, didn't he say he, prior to me? He said they never called, so,
let me look here, oh, Dave Braxmeyer. So, should it be him?
but it doesn't matter, you can contact me if you want,
Or me, it doesn't matter.
he would probably be,
Yeah, I think Jack always wanted to be called because he wanted the placement in a certain, and they'd always deliver it before they called him anyway, so it never quite worked.
I think
So-
he had the same thing last year.
Right, exactly, even though we tell them, we text them, whatever. So who would you prefer me have the contact person, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, he's,
Okay, we'll
Did
do
it.
that, Mike,
he's well.
thank you, and we'll
I
get
think-
those
I think you have that
postcards
number.
mailed out to everybody in the township, every property owner in the township. Okay, on to other current business, zoning officers report. permit on Wildwood Drive, land division for the Pafkas, a deck permit, it's not giving the address, 4303, no address. And then it says verified Mr. Frisch was still living on his property, was not able to get contact with him. Next door neighbor said he still was, but Wayne Rourke has not been able to confirm that. Permits issued 2, permit request 1, land division 1.
And I do wanna just clarify again, it says it was removed from the property last week. That was the original paper, but there is a second one.
Okay. Thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals minutes. So there were no business at the quarterly ZBA meeting, but the ZBA recommended that the tax bill have the zoning of each parcel included on the tax bill.
I think it's on there, isn't it? I think it's on there.
That's just what the owner can say, oh, I'm in R2.
Correct. Well, even we struggle with that when we're, you know, trying to figure stuff out.
So,
Residential improved. Is that yours?
no.
Oh.
That's not the zoning, though.
Huh?
That's not the zoning.
Okay, then it's not on here then.
No, he said.
401
What did he
is
say?
approved, improved. 402 is farmland, residential basically, because I just talked to Jason yet Monday about
Okay.
it on mine.
So it's got, it does have a class on it, but that wouldn't be.
Yeah, it doesn't have your zoning on it in place.
And these get printed by the county.
Yeah, I have no control over this, so if that's something you can talk to Nick Wheeler. But yeah, this is what they put out.
Okay, upcoming dates, planning commission, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Fire board, April 7th. Board of review, again tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Public comments. Yes, Jeff.
Dave Burke, she's on the ZBA, he would love to be on the planning commission.
Dave Burke.
Yeah, yep.
He's real smart.
He's he'd be a good for that.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
we
I'm
kind of
just-
put it out there. It will be in the minutes if we get anybody else, but it would be great to have somebody who has some experience to be able to do that, which would then mean we would need a zoning board of appeals person. They only meet quarterly, that's a much lighter load. So if anyone is interested in that, I don't know what's going to happen. We'll wait and see if we get anybody else on the planning commission or that may have interest in the planning
My other
commission.
question was, why did the planning commissioner, the training go to now instead of the MTA training?
It's just a training that they put out, it's not, I mean,
It's MAP, it's got nothing to do with the MTA.
right.
Yeah, and I wondered why the township did that. I mean, that was just a card you guys got
Yeah.
advertising the MAP, which is municipality, I can't think what the name is. It's for city or village planners, is basically what it's for, is what it is. That's what MAP stands for. It's the Michigan Association of Planners, not, which is like city planners or township planners. It's not really like the.
Well, that's important as well.
But it's a zoning, training. I mean, there's
Yeah, it's not really like the MTA. That's what, I'm just asking a question.
planning and zoning essential training, light be gone training,
And one of those classes was taught by our
Managing
zoning.
risk.
Yeah, I understand that. I just wondered why they switched or why you guys
it's
switched.
just a training that, you know, that we're, they don't.
Schedules probably too, so. Any other public comments? Yes.
I'd just like to say thank you for supporting domestic harmony. I think it's an important resource for our law enforcement to have some place to get danger into someplace safe. So thank you for that.
Yes, thanks.
For 2024, 2025, the assessor made an error on our assessment. This was brought up last year to the Board of Review. They shooed me away. The assessor has recognized that error and changed the assessment, which reduced our assessed value by $64,000 in our home. So that's $965 calculation of what we paid taxes last year. I talked to the county clerk who said through the township, these are refundable taxes. So I have a letter to request that refund based on an error that I can provide either in writing here or I can email that in.
The county takes care of that, James.
Okay.
Well, I think what has to happen, and I could be wrong, so our assessor said that he takes responsibility, he didn't ask the question on the additional, on the
room was heated, is that the question?
Whether there's an HVAC up there or not, it's not a finished room. So it's not $128 per square foot. So it does not
So
have,
there is heating and electricity?
there's electricity, there's not an HVAC. It is not a fully finished room.
So that was the one question that wasn't asked on that additional 900 and some square footage or whatever it was. Our assessor did not realize that, maybe he should have asked that specific question.
It was brought up to the Board of Review though. They were told that last year. So regardless,
I was
so
there and I
moving this forward, what would you suggest I do for this?
I was gonna answer what you were saying. So, he did say that that would be done at the Board of Review, and then I did ask him what about last year, and he said in July is when the Board of Review meets again to make corrections. That is the time that we can then go back and do the correction for last year. Because I asked him that specific questions.
Okay.
But the check will not come from me.
July.
Okay,
It
so
comes from the county.
I understand that. So I did talk to Caitlin, something.
Stephanie Kaiser.
The treasurer, I thought it started with a K. She said, talk to the township specifically. I can follow back up with her.
We have never, we get billed back
Okay.
because there's a portion that's collected that we got for our taxes, the township, that we have to pay back to the county.
Okay.
But any refund they take care of all that up there.
Okay, one other comment. If I fail to pay my taxes for a year, there's 12% interest and there's a 48% administrative fee as well. So I would like you to consider, or the county to consider paying that, just like I would have to pay if I failed to pay them for a legitimate tax.
You can ask for whatever you want. There's a process and a procedure, so I do assume at this Board of Review, it will be corrected for this year. And from my understanding, it's the July Board of Review is the only one that can make changes to a prior issue.
Going back more than just this current fiscal year, they go back the last whole year is what you're suggesting?
The lab, so it would be for the year prior to this one.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and email this into the clerk so that you have this
But
information and
that
I'll
is
follow
not the
up.
process, from what I understand, just so you know. The process is at the July Board of Review
Okay.
to request that.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and at least submit it so that it can be shared with them for July.
And probably what she misunderstood, James, if they're, like the December Board of Review, if something has changed for the current tax, then I go in and make an adjustment in my tax basis. And if you've already paid your taxes, and our assessor says, no, this is what the value should be, then I would refund that money back to you during the current tax season. But I'm done for this year. And
Okay, so I'll call her again tomorrow, but,
Yeah.
you know,
But make sure you tell her that it's just got done, because I don't think she quite understood your question.
thank you.